You're going to have to leave. This is a crime scene, and no one other than ourselves or Raynil Dralas will be allowed access. I suppose there's no harm in telling you what happened. Word is bound to get around Bruma anyway. Turns out that Braden Lyrian is a vampire. Or was. If it wasn't for Raynil Dralas, we may have never uncovered the truth. Let me explain. In the last week or so, we found 2 bodies stashed in shallow graves outside the city walls. The bodies had puncture wounds on their necks. The bodies were those of some beggars who used to wander the streets looking for handouts. Vampire probably thought no one would miss them. Luckily for us, Raynil arrived in town. He said he was a vampire hunter, so we asked for his help. He tracked the vampire to this house. When he entered the place around noon, Braden was sleeping. He was able to slay him at that point. Luckily, Braden's wife wasn't home. Poor thing. She didn't even know her husband was infected. We did a follow-up investigation, and it's true that no one recollects seeing Braden out in the daylight. He's only been spotted at night. I'm afraid there's not much more to tell you. So you can see we really don't need any help. But thanks for the offer. I'm impressed. It only took him a day to track the vampire down. I guess that's why he does it for a living. Feel free to question anyone in town. I shouldn't give you too much trouble.
Sorry.
I can't believe this is happening. Please, please, I need your help. My husband was no vampire. It's ridiculous. No one will listen to me. Forgive me. I loved my husband dearly, and to lose him this way makes no sense. Anything you can do to help would be wonderful. This is all happening so fast. I came home only just a few hours ago. I found the door open, and my Braden dead. Standing over him was a Dunmer. I screamed and ran out into the street. Some city watch were nearby and heard me, I suppose, as they arrived quickly. I heard the Dunmer identify himself as Raynil Dralas. He said he was a vampire hunter and that Braden was his mark. The guards seemed to know about Raynil, and after a search of the house, the body of some beggar was found stashed in our basement. The guards sent for Carius, who is an investigator for crimes here in Bruma. In minutes, Raynil convinced Carius that Braden was a vampire. Well, of course it does. It was obviously planted here. Why would he stash a body in his own house? That's ridiculous! And another thing, the guards are making a big deal out of no one seeing Braden out in the daylight. Well, of course that's the case. He works at night and has to sleep during the day. Why does that make him a vampire? It's all that Raynil character. I don't trust him. The thing that bothers me the most is that I swear I've seen him before. Of course, he says he's never been here. There isn't much more to say. Please, help me clear my husband's name. I have no idea where he'd be. Just find him and make him tell you the truth. I swear he's a liar. I know I sound desperate, but I know I'm right.
Hello.
Did you hear that the Knights of the Nine are gathering holy writ?
My pleasure, really.
Welcome to Bruma, stranger. Hafid Hollowleg. I'm your host at Gerald View. Bed, food, whatever you need. Ah, you mean that vampire hunter. He's staying over at Olav's Tap and Tack. It's near the city gates. You can't miss it. Farewell.
I'm Yvara Shinit, Countess Bruma's steward. The Countess makes policy, leaving the details of administration to me.
Be seeing you.
Hail, Sir Knight.
How are you?
Praise Akatosh. Praise the Nine. I'm Arentus Falvius, Primate of Talos, High Priest of Bruma Chapel. I understand that Bumf Gragash trains other Fighter Guild members on the proper use of heavy armors. Bye.
Good to see you. Yes?
Good afternoon.
Hello! What can I do for you? I know I may be out of line by saying this, but I think the city guards may be wrong. It's hard to imagine Braden was a vampire. I could have sworn I saw him outside in the daylight before. Unless he just got that disease very recently, I'd say they were mistaken. When I heard Raynil killed him, I didn't know what to think. But after your visit here, I'm beginning to wonder. I usually don't give out that kind of information, especially to people I don't know. Yes? Thank you. That'll get for me. Thank you. Every little bit helps. I've got a room. Right then. Head up. Raynil's staying in the last room down the hall upstairs. Here's the key. I always liked Braden and Arlene. They were a nice couple. I hope you get to the bottom of this, because I don't believe he was a vampire either. Hello! What can I do for you today? Blasted thief? Galaborn? That's odd that you should mention that name. Raynil told me that he was the last vampire he hunted. Yeah, that's right. Somewhere in Skingrad, I believe. He said he tracked Gelborn down and killed him. That's apparently why the guards trust him so readily. They had gotten word from Skingrad's City Watch about Raynil and his so-called accomplishment. And nothing else I can tell you about him. He comes and goes and doesn't talk to people much. Just look for me if you need anything else. Good day. I'm Tolgan, herald to Countess Narina Carvane here in Bruma. She requests your company at your earliest convenience. Countess Carvane would prefer if you speak to her in person. She also said to present you with this stipend as a taste of things to come.
My lady holds court from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening each day. That would be the best time to see her.
Safe journey, my lady. Greetings to you.
What?
I overheard a guard mention...
Good tidings, citizen.
Well met, milady.
It's a pleasure to see you. I've heard much about your deeds from my people in Bruma. I trust the stipend Tolgan gave you whetted your appetite. Good point. Allow me to formally introduce myself. I'm Countess Narina Kavain. I assume you've noticed all the Akaviri relics I'm displaying. Well, it's safe to say I'm a collector of sorts. I've invested a great deal of time and money acquiring these bits of ancient history. In fact, I'd be so bold as to proclaim my collection the most complete in all Cyrodiil, perhaps even beyond. Except for one thing. A particular relic has eluded me for many years. Possessing this piece of Akaviri antiquity would make my collection complete. I'm of course referring to the Draconian Madstone. I've been looking for just the right owner for a special home I have. It's a quaint little house conveniently located just off the main gate. Wonderful. I'll have the deed transferred to you. Here is your key to the door. As I said, it's located right by the main gate. I've had a look at the place myself, and it could use some furnishings inside. Quite barren in there, I'm afraid. I'm fairly certain that Suratan at Nova Roma here in Bruma can acquire the things you'll need to make it look like home. The stone is a fine bit of Akaviri craftsmanship. Worn like an amulet, this talisman, the Madstone appears as a snake coiled around and encircling itself. The eyes of the snake are supposed to be precious gems or some such. Through my sources, I've learned that the last reported location of the Madstone was the ruins at Pale Pass. Are you familiar with the history of Pale Pass? Back at the end of the First Era, raiders from the continent of Akavir attempted to gain a foothold here in Tamriel. At that time, the Empire was broken into smaller factions. Raymond Cyrodiil decided to unify them and form an army to repel the Akaviri raiders. The force became known as the Army of Raymond. The two armies clashed in what's now northern Cyrodiil. The Akaviri were strong and well supplied. But their greatest error was marching through Morrowind on the way to their objective and dismissing the response it would garner from Vivek. They didn't count on Lord Vivek forming an alliance with the Trident Kings of the Dreg. From Morrowind, he struck at their rear flank. Not only did this make the Akaviri fight on two fronts, it also cut off access to reinforcements and supplies from the sea. You must be joking, right? Who hasn't heard of the greatest known hero of the First Age? Raymond Cyrodiil not only was a with such an empire, in fact, Please consider my proposal.
How are you today?
So, any new revelations in your... I'm sure Erlene is very upset. Her accusations that Raynil is lying is not surprising. At this point, I suppose if I found out a loved one was... How'd you know about that? Too many people don't know how to keep quiet about a fish. The Skingrad City Watch informed us that Gellerborn was killed by Raynil not too long ago. Gellerborn? What do you mean you disagree? That's a bold statement. What proof do you have that Gellerborn was not a vampire? I don't know what to say. It all makes perfect sense now. Why else would Raynil have removed this journal from the crime scene in Skingrad? I heard no mention of a key either. It must have been removed by Raynil from Braden's body before we arrived. To think that 2 innocent men were killed, and that I'm responsible for one of their deaths, I'm speechless. I will rouse the guard and begin a search for him in the city. Meet me at Olav's Tap and Tack in 1 hour.
Join the guild and fight for gold.
Whatever I can. Anything else I can... Just look for me if you need anything else.
Just before I arrived here, I received a report from one of our scouts watching the roads. Raynil was spotted heading west out of Bruma. The scout tried to follow, but lost him in the mountains. The only cave to the west that comes close to the one described in Gellerborn's journal is Boreal Stone Cave. That must be where he's headed. You must get there before he acquires whatever artifact is being kept there and makes his escape. I'm keeping the city guard in Bruma, as Raynil doesn't know we're after him. If he sees a guard, he may panic and run. You're my only hope at the moment. Please, you have my authorization to do everything you can to bring him to justice. If he won't surrender, I think you know what to do. Hurry. I fear you have a day at the most to stop him. Please hurry. Raynil may make a break for the open...
Congratulations. I had a feeling you would catch on sooner or later. Leaving that journal behind was a stupid mistake on my part. I saw you enter Olav's Tap and Tack before I could get there, and I knew that I had to sneak out of Bruma somehow. It was only a matter of time before you or Carius figured it out. No matter. After I've killed you, I won't need my vampire hunter ruse any longer. Certainly not. I'm surprised Carius didn't send the entire city watch up here. But then I would have seen that coming, I suppose. I expected to lay low here for a while and then be on my way. So again, I underestimated you. This leaves me with little choice. Either I fight you now and have a chance at freedom, or I surrender and rot in a city dungeon. I prefer the chance for freedom. Yes, I suppose it is. Well then, we've talked enough. Only one of us will walk out of here alive this day. Good luck.
What news do you bring? I knew I recognized Raynil. I think when I first met Brayden many years ago, he introduced me to him. They were part of some sort of brotherhood. They would roam Cyrodiil in search of legendary treasures and the like. The only reason he stopped doing that is because we got married and he wanted to settle down. I'm afraid thanks to Raynil, that time is lost. Yes, I remember Brayden mentioning that name once. He was part of the brotherhood he had created with Raynil. Long ago, I made a promise to Brayden. I promised to never reveal to anyone what I'm about to reveal to you now. However, because you've avenged his unjust death, I feel that Brayden would understand why I'm breaking that pact. Brayden told me about this amulet when they first brought it home from whatever distant land it came from. He never really trusted anyone else in the group, and before he secured the treasure in that cave, he had a special enchantment placed upon it. The magic masks the true identity of the item. All it takes is a simple command word, and the amulet would be restored to its true state. No, he always feared this day would come. He left me knowledge of that word in the event that he died, and I came into possession of the keys. If the other members of Brayden's group were still alive, and I on my deathbed, only then would I pass the knowledge on to them. If you'd give me that amulet, I would like to show you what you've recovered. Thank you. I will now speak the word, Brotherhood. Here is the amulet back. It's as beautiful as it was the day I remember seeing it long ago. I want you to keep it, as I have no use for this anymore. I'm certain that's what I want, and I'm certain that's what Brayden would want. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that the amulet helps keep you safe on whatever roads you may travel. Justice has been done.